Working in retail is never easy, especially when you have to deal with a bunch of crazies. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Retail. Our first tale is from Houston's Problem. I work at a small retail grocery chain on the East Coast and had a run-in with a customer that I had to share. So an employee we will call Bob was going to lunch. Bob was walking out into the parking lot and did not look both ways before crossing the street. As a car was driving past, he stepped out into the road and walked face first into the rear driver door. Yes, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I even verified on camera. He's just not the brightest bulb. So Bob walks into this woman's car, and she immediately stops the car and gets out yelling. This is when I was walking by and went to check to see if everyone was okay. I walked by the woman, we will call her AL for Angry Lady, and knelt down beside Bob to see if he was okay. Bob was laughing and shook his head saying he was okay and wasn't sure what happened. Meanwhile, the lady was yelling behind me.
Aren't you going to ask how I'm doing? My car was hit.
I involuntarily laughed because of the absurdity of her being upset. I checked on the person hit by the car and not on the car first. This made Angry Lady even more mad as she stepped forward and yelled at me again.
I don't think it's very funny. My brand new car is damaged, and you're going to have to pay me for the damage.
I finished helping Bob up, who said his ankle was twisted, and I looked at the car, which was a late 2000s model car, and looked to see the damage, and saw a small scratch that could have been from Bob. I replied with, "We will get it taken care of, ma'am. I suggest you call the police to fill out an accident report." And Angry Lady quickly snapped back.
No, you need to pay me for my damages.
I shook my head and laughed, this time on purpose because I felt that at this point she was being beyond absurd. "Ma'am, I'm not going to be paying for anything, but if you'd like to call the police and fill out a report, they can handle everything." Angry Lady pointed at me and said,
Fuck you, bitch.
Got in her car and peeled out of the parking lot. I've been trying to figure out what happened and why she wouldn't call the police all day. Luckily, Bob just had a sprained ankle, but the store manager filled out a report and made me write a statement just in case. The lack of human decency in this Karen. She cares more about her car than the person that actually hit her fucking car, which goes to show where her priorities lie. And I am with you. If she wasn't willing to call the police and fill out a report, what was she hiding? This next tale is by Canadian Death Metal. Okay, so yesterday, these two sisters who appeared to be middle-aged came to my register. One of them was unloading her stuff to the belt, while the other kept wandering to find more goodies. One of the two kept getting rather frustrated that her sister kept wandering off and leaving her up here to deal with the transaction. There are a few people in line behind them, and that's when Sister A joked with me how Sister B doesn't get out much. After a bit, we joked about paging Sister B to come up, because it was a good couple of minutes, and she was still browsing. So I picked up the phone and paged for, "Sister B, please come to the front, thank you." Sister A gave me B's name, and I paged her by name. Customers in line smirked at that. Well, B clearly heard the announcement, so she starts speed walking to the front, all mortified that she was just paged. But she was more so mortified with Sister A than me. B ended up not wandering off for the rest of the transaction, and they both left together. No regrets. I can't even imagine how it would feel to be the person that gets paged to the front because you're too busy walking around. Guarantee you she was probably red as a tomato though. And good to know that she didn't lose her shit. This next tale is from Bleeds Cane Sugar. I've been working for a couple that runs a small retail chain for 5-ish years and climbed my way up to manager at one of their stores. That means when this person came in last night with a boombox blasting music, it was my problem. It was like this really bad, kinda trance house music. Being a Friday night in the store, music was up a little bit, and people were shopping and having a good time. The low-quality drum from their 2001 boombox added to this layer of noise that I was not about. I waited a bit to see if they'd turn it off on their own. It didn't happen, so I walked past them and gave them a friendly hello, just to gauge what kind of asshole I was dealing with. They looked the other way and pretended I didn't exist. I knew I was dealing with someone on a power trip, so I just ripped the band-aid off. I circled back, approached again, and asked them to put the music on pause while they were in the store. They responded like I asked them to kick a puppy. I explained we already have music playing in the store, and the two together just didn't work. They rolled their eyes at me and walked away. I called them out on it, and they started lecturing me how, as manager, not an owner, I had no authority. Then they started getting nasty, calling me a small man who they didn't owe anything to. They called me gross, they called me pathetic, they called me sad, repeatedly. I know a tantrum when I see one, so I let them get it out and they left fine. Then they came back with more insults, shouting at me from across the store this time. I walked over to them standing at the door and said, "You're clearly mad. Do you want to go outside and talk about it?" They responded with more insults, saying they never want to talk to me again, which honestly, huge win for me. So yeah, after 5 years in retail, I finally got verbally abused. I'm confident enough in who I am to know it was just a broken person lashing out, but I'm still annoyed that people think it's cool to talk to a stranger like that. Also concerned they come back and do it to one of my people. Anyways, that's the story of how I got verbally abused. Peace. It definitely seems like person with the boombox is the one who's actually the sad, pathetic person because they're acting the way they're acting in public. No self-respecting person or even person that was raised right would go into an establishment and act like an asshole like this. This next tale is by Lil Floofy. It's not that bad, but I need to vent a bit. I work as a cashier in a clothing shop. When a client wants a refund, we need to have the article and the receipt to prove it wasn't stolen. This rule was decided by the store manager, not me. Today a lady came in and asked for a refund but didn't have a receipt. When customers are polite and we have the time, we try to find a solution. But since she was in the shop, she had an attitude with me. And when I told her politely, as I would with every customer, that I couldn't help without the receipt, she threw the product on the bin next to me and then storms out saying how she would never return. Later, we found out by a customer that she posted on social media, saying how horrible I was. I was like I am with everyone when asking for a refund, that I didn't make any effort to help, I didn't even have the time seeing how quickly she stormed out, and that I basically had stolen the product because she didn't have the receipt. Totally false. The customer said on the post that she was awful with me and it's normal that I wouldn't want to help. Again, I said nothing more than the guideline of the shop. Later she came back screaming, saying that she was never awful with me, that I should stop lying, that she wasn't aggressive, and she didn't throw anything at me. I argued with her for a few minutes because I did nothing to deserve the way she speaks to me. Then I had enough and turned myself to continue work like she wasn't there. She stormed out again screaming that the world was going mad. I found the post by myself when I came back home, and she's currently talking trash about me. My manager told me not to react, but it's just really hard since I just did what I was told. Unfortunately, you can't really control those crazy people, and in this case, this Karen is out of her fucking mind. She definitely wants to spin the tale to make herself look good, but I think we all know the truth. And our final tale is from The Soccer Lure. I was working self-checkout, and this lady comes with a kinda full basket. She has tampons she wants to buy, and some store coupons to use with them. She already had an attitude because of the bagging alert, even though I was clearing it on the device. She waved me over and asked about the coupons. First thing that came to mind was ask her if she had scanned them, because sometimes customers don't scan them, and ask for help. She replied with a sarcastic,
"No, I'm stupid."
because having an attitude is always a great way to start a conversation with someone who you want to help you. It caught me off guard as I had not even really interacted with her at this point. I then looked at the coupon and the box of tampons. It appeared to be the right thing, but as we all know, coupons can be super specific sometimes. So I go ask someone up front to go check. Front-end manager goes and checks, and the lady ends up following her down the aisle. The coupon is next to another kind of tampon of the same brand. Front-end manager told the woman that she really did not know why it wasn't taking off, so the woman got all huffy and started with the attitude again. Manager just walked away so the situation wouldn't escalate further. The woman ended up getting the tampons that the coupons were right next to. She then walked back up to the self-checkout and asked if the front-end manager was the highest manager there. I of course said no. Then she asked for the store manager, who wasn't there, only an assistant. Then she started with the
"I'm gonna call the store and complain"
stuff. Then I shut up and walked away. She actually started calling the store while still in self-checkout, I'm pretty sure. Assistant manager took the call and basically she was like,
"That girl in self-checkout
me?
was on her phone,
Not my phone.
ignoring me and not giving me enough attention, etc. Then the front-end manager had an attitude with me."
In the end, neither of us got in trouble, and had the customer not gave us an attitude, one of us could have just put the coupon in manually. Ah yes, the Karen that wants to speak to the manager because she just doesn't do shit properly, and instead of actually asking for proper assistance like a normal person would and then receiving that assistance, she causes a big fit and ends up not getting assisted the proper way. I would say she should step back and reevaluate her attitude, but we know she won't. In her mind, she's not wrong. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Retail. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.